Welcome to the RAD Ryan Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the RAD Ryan Show. I am your host, Ryan, and this week is some stacked news for you guys. So it is Monday, and you guys know what that means. It is news time. A lot happened this week. We're going to be diving into that, exactly what happened into this week's news. So coming up, that state of play that we had. It was 85 minutes long. Absolutely blew everybody out of the water. And we've got some major Nintendo announcements, and also we're going to be hitting up Xbox as well. They got some news too. So buckle up. So we're covering all the big moves of Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation this week. Let's get into it.
It's time for a recap.
So before we dive into this week's news, let me take a quick second to recap what went down last week, just in case you missed it. Nintendo dropped Mario Tennis Fever on Switch 2 on February 12th, and it's actually getting good. People are really enjoying it. We're still with that 38 playable characters. People are enjoying the new Fever Rack system. The reviews were solid, calling chaotic fun with great core tennis gameplay. We also got Yakuza Kiwami 3 and the Virtual Boy Nintendo Classics announcement as well. Over on Xbox, High on Life 2 still continues to be the number one day one Game Pass release. It is still at the number one charts. It is the most played on Game Pass this last week. Go and grab it. Go pick it up. If you do not have the Game Pass subscription, go ahead and do it, even if you just want to play this game. It is worth it. So we also had a bunch of other Game Pass editions like Rebooted and Blaze Blue Entropy Effect X. Those are really good stuff. Again, with the state of play that was over 84 minutes, we knew it was going to be big, but nobody expected it to actually happen. So I'll get into full details in the PlayStation section of today's news, but just know that state of play was historic. Alright, now that we're all caught up, let's jump into this week's news.
Now over to Xbox.
I want to start off with Xbox's news for this week. So, as we cover, the big story is because Avowed is coming to PlayStation 5. I know it's an Xbox news, but this is big news for all consoles. Avowed was released last year, Xbox and PC. So, Avowed, Obsidian's first-person fantasy RPG, is launching this Tuesday on February 17th for the PlayStation 5 Pro and Slim and regular too. So this is exactly 1 year after it originally came out for Xbox and PC. The PS5 version cost $49.99 for the standard edition, $59.99 for the premium edition, which includes digital art book, the soundtrack, player armors, and companion skins. Hey, cool. I think I'm gonna take a look at that and see what that is up to. What's really cool about this PS5 launch happening alongside anniversary update, that's all hitting platforms, Xbox, PC, PS5. That update is genuinely substantial. It adds new game plus, 3 new playable races, photo mode, new weapon types, and a bunch of quality of life improvements and character customization options. The game is also confirmed to be PS5 Pro enhanced, so if you got the fancy upgraded hardware, then Avowed is going to look and run even better. For those who do not know, Avowed is set in the Pillars of Eternity universe and it has you investigating a mysterious plague called the Dream Scourge in a region called the Living Lands. Reviews from last year were really positive about the game. People loved the dense, focused world design compared to the sprawling open world fatigue we've been experiencing lately in a lot of other games. This is part of Xbox's continued strategy of treating their games as timed exclusives before bringing them to PlayStation 5. We've seen it with Forza Horizon 5, Indiana Jones, and now Avowed. It's a big shift from the old days of permanent exclusivity, but it seems to be working out financially for Microsoft. So some other Xbox Game Pass updates on that front. We're in the second half of February now, so the new wave of Game Pass announcements should be dropping any day soon. Last week we got some killer additions, and there's speculation that we might see more day one drops before the month is over. One game that people are still buzzing from earlier is the High on Life 2, which launched on Game Pass day one. The skateboard mechanics and expanded scope have been getting solid reviews from players. It's been sitting at the top of the most played Game Pass since it dropped. We are also expecting announcements soon about the games that are leaving the Game Pass at the end of this February month. So if there are any games that you've been meaning to finish, now is probably the time to go and check that list off.
Over to Nintendo.
Alright, now hitting the Nintendo news for the week. Alright, let's start with the Nintendo news, and wow, they had their partner showcase last week on February 5th, not last week, the week before that, and while it wasn't the most surprise-packed direct we've ever seen, there were actually some genuinely exciting announcements for Switch 2 owners. So just to highlight, the biggest exclusive reveal for the showcase was probably Orbitals, which is a retro anime-style co-puzzle adventure coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch 2 later in 2026. It has that generous pixel art aesthetic mixed with some modern visual effects, and from the trailer it looks like a really chill game to play with a friend. We also got some confirmation that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is actually finally making its way to Switch 2. If you haven't played it yet on Xbox or PC, this is basically your Indiana Jones fantasy come to real life. It's on your portable device. First-person adventure with tons of exploration, puzzle solving, and the classic indie charm. The fact that it is running on Switch 2 is actually pretty impressive if you ask me, considering how demanding the game is. So here's some cool RPG fans. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Endless RAD Ragnarok is coming to Switch 2. For those who do not know what this game is, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink has been a massive hit on other platforms, and now Switch 2 owners will get to experience this action RPG with a whole new expansion pack. And in one of the more interesting announcements, Super Bomberman Collection dropped as well. This is basically a massive compilation of the classic Bomberman games, all wrapped up in one package for both Switch 1 and Switch 2. Nostalgic and perfect for party game nights. So this week's releases for the Switch 2, we've got Avowed launching on February 17th. Wait, Avowed for Nintendo? Am I reading this right? Yeah, I mean, I'll get more into that later. But basically, this Obsidian's RPG is getting its almost simultaneous PS5, and actually, you know what? I'm seeing a lot of conflicting info here, so let me pivot towards the other Switch releases. Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown launches February 18th on Switch 2. This is the story-driven survival strategy game where you are literally managing the USS Voyager and making tough calls to get the crew back home. If you're a Trekkie, this is probably on your radar. Death Howl hits Switch on February 19th. This is the open world deck builder that's been getting solid buzz on PC actually. You're trying to bring your son back from the dead by forging cards and battling through the dark fantasy world. It's got that one more run addictive quality that the best deck builders probably have. And looking ahead of the month, Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition drops on the Switch 2 on February 24th. The complete post-nuclear adventure is portable now. That's kind of insane when you think of it. Alright, for Switch 2 third-party support, one that is becoming really clear as of lately is Switch 2 is getting some serious third-party AAA support that the original Switch 2 could only have dreamed of. We're talking talking games like Cyberpunk 2077, Star Wars Outlaws, Final Fantasy VIII Remake, and the Did I say 8? I meant Final Fantasy VII Remake and Resident Evil Requiem, all running on Nintendo hardware. Are you crazy? That's basically unheard of in Nintendo's modern history. As this trend continues, Switch 2 could legitimately become one console you need for everything. First-party Nintendo Magic and all the big multi-platform releases. Pretty exciting stuff. Yep.
And now over to PlayStation.
Alright, so for the big news of this week, PlayStation. Let's talk about the easily the biggest story of this week. The state of play that was 85 minutes. Holy moly. This was on February 12th, and if you guys have not watched it yet, go ahead and watch that. It was a blast. Making this the longest state of play in history. And Sony just kept dropping bomb after bomb after bomb. So let me break this down. So God of War Sons of Sparta is this one was a shadow drop. It released the same day as the state of play presentation. It's 2.5D prequel set before the events of the 2018 God of War, and it's giving players the different perspective of Kratos' story. The fact that they just surprise launched it was absolutely wild, and the internet basically melted down in the best way possible. The God of War trilogy remake also announced. This is a full remake of the original PS2, PS3 trilogy. So we do not have a release date, but the confirmation that is actually happening is keeping fans very hyped. So we're talking the original God of War 2, God of War 3, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Finally, after rumors and a lot of speculation for months, Konami confirmed that MGS Collection 2 is real and coming in 2026. This collection is expected to include Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker, and potentially the Metal Gear Solid HD versions of Snake Eater. Whoa. Konami was all over the state of play this year. So, Castlevania Belmont Curse, a brand new Castlevania game. It's going back to the series Metroidvania roots. Heavily inspired by Symphony of the Night, but with a completely different art style. This is coming in 2026, and its first proper new Castlevania game in years. Konami is really making a comeback for this month, you know? Silent Hill Townfall. Yep, it still exists. Konami confirmed it's targeting a 2026 release window. So this one is the multiple Silent Hill projects that got announced a while back, and it's nice to know that it didn't get cancelled. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, a new Marvel fighting game with a Japanese anime inspired art style, got a 2026 release date during the show. Ghost of Yotai Legends, this is apparently a multiplayer expansion or spin-off related to the Ghost of Yotai game. This is the Ghost of Tsushima sequel that also is coming in 2026. Crimson Moon, a gothic RPG from probably Monsters, is relatively a new studio. This one's got a dark fantasy vibe and is targeting and also a 2026 release. The overall message from Sony was clear. PlayStation has a stacked lineup for 2026 between first party games and like the Marathon, which is releasing March 5th. Be ready to pick that up. And Saros, also March 20th, plus all third party exclusives and partnerships. PS5 owners are eating extremely well this year. On the PS Plus front, the extra and premium game editions for February were announced on February 11th, and they went live on February 17th. The lineup includes some solid games. I won't go through the whole entire list, but if you're a PS Plus extra or premium subscriber, definitely go and check those games out.
It's time for a recap.
Alright, so that's our gaming news for the week. To recap, Nintendo had their partner showcase and had some solid Switch 2 announcements. Avowed is launching on PS5 tomorrow with a major anniversary updating hitting all platforms. And PlayStation's State of Play absolutely dominated the conversation of the last 2 weeks, with God of War Shadow Drops, Castlevania returning, and Metal Gear Solid Collection 2 finally confirmed, and some really big news on games that still have yet to have release dates. So it's a great time to be a gamer, folks. So many incredible games coming our way. So tell me, what was your favorite announcement from the PlayStation State of Play? Let me know if you're going to be picking up Avowed on PS5. Also, which upcoming Switch 2 game are you most excited about? Let me know down in the comments. I will also have a poll for you guys to go and check out what your favorite announcement from this week was. So if you enjoyed this video, I really want you guys to go and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get ready for more Monday news segments. So I'll be catching you guys next week for another rundown of the weekly news. Alright, and until then, keep gaming and stay rad. Peace out.